If you ask someone if they knew what Fortnite is, 9 times out of 10, you would get a yes. It has become a household name in the gaming industry, hosting a World Cup, taking the internet by storm, and even having collaborations with the likes of Marvel and Pixar. But if you ask someone the same question in 2017, if they knew what Fortnite is, the answer will most likely be a no. As the game was skyrocketing in popularity, so did the skill gap between the average player and professional. And in today's video, I'm going to be looking at the evolution of skill as the game got older and more players looked at going into the pro scene. Welcome to Fortnite's evolution. So as expected, the very start of Fortnite wasn't anything spectacular to look at skill-wise. There wasn't really a pro scene, and with everyone basically ignoring the building mechanic, most people on the same level of skill. Most people. You had the odd standouts in the early days, such as Ninja, Tfue, Mr. Grims, DK, Myth, and several others who utilised building. But even at this level of building that they were doing was subpar. You could put an average player of Fortnite nowadays in those matches, and even against the best players at the time, they would wipe the floor with them. But that just goes to show you how good the average is nowadays. Back then, the scariest thing that you could see was a John Wick skilled in build in 90s. That was until Playground came out. Playground innovated the entire design of how people looked at Fortnite. Instead of it just being a fun game to play with your friends, people realized they were given the opportunity to practice different mechanics in the game so that they could play like the popular streamers that they were watching. The difference in skill before and after Playground was night and day. Before Playground, the average player was just expected to shoot a bush, camp, and rocket ride. Now the average player was doing 90s and ramp rushing. With how dominant Playground was though, this rise in skill was nowhere near ending. Some of the old pros that were decorated as being the best in the game were falling out of relevancy as new better players took the scene. And when these new players were showing off what they could do, it was like a snowball effect. Somebody would find a new mechanic and then you would have people in Playground mastering that mechanic, which would raise the skill gap. By the end of season 5, when Playground was introduced, to be the average you had to be better than the best were last season. This skill increase didn't slow down though. As seasons went on, the ceiling of players became higher and higher, nearly to the point where to get that level, it seemed unattainable if you weren't playing for hours and hours every single day. Now it stayed that way for a couple seasons until you got to season 9 when the Fortnite World Cup was hosted. This is where the best players in the world came together to fight it out, showing off how good you can be and how high the skill ceiling actually is. This World Cup made news around the world. It shows parents that kids could make a living playing video games. After the World Cup, the skill level took another massive rise as everyone was playing it, trying to get better at the possibility of them going pro and competing in an event like this. And of course, the World Cup gave us one of the most iconic moments in Fortnite's history.
But ladies and gentlemen, there's no way anyone beats him! Your Fortnite World Champion, Booga! 3 million richer, the biggest individual prize victory in competitive gaming history.
Chapter 2 of Fortnite was when COVID happened. This caused a lot of people who had stopped playing the game at that point to start playing again, since everyone was indoors, new mechanics and new people were appearing almost every day. Long gone were the days of a simple ramp rush. Now you would have people doing edit courses to get towards people. Chapter 2, Season 2 is considered Fortnite's second prime, and that was due to how many people were playing it because they had nothing to do. Now that we are in Season 2, it would probably be a good idea to say that cash cups and tournaments were now a regular thing in the game. Running every few days, people were playing these with the hopes of qualifying for Bear Cup and even competing for money. You would have thousands of people trying to qualify every day. With so many people playing these modes, where you were up against people who are better than you, it encouraged people to get better. By this point in Fortnite history, the old players that once dominated could no longer keep up with all the new players that were up and coming. With the Fortnite World Cup, all of the old pros were falling out of relevancy, with new innovative people coming onto the scene. As Chapter 2 went on, and as COVID kept happening, people were spending more and more time on the game. Of course, the more time you spend on a game, the better you'll get. That's just common knowledge. And this didn't change with Fortnite. Fortnite had lost a lot of its popularity, but with COVID happening, people had nothing else to do. Unfortunately for Fortnite, as COVID started to disappear, a lot of people stopped playing it. But by this point, a lot of the player base had left. Now, by this point, Fortnite, it was very clear how high the skill was. The top player base was insanely good, and the bottom of the player base just wanted to enjoy the game for what it was, instead of trying to be at the top. And to be honest, Fortnite has pretty much stayed that way for a while now. Whilst new mechanics and pros still appear, the majority of the player base has the same resentment towards the pro scene. They wish it could be them, but they can't imagine putting in the hours hours to get there. Whilst Fortnite used to be a fun game for people to play and still is, it has also become people's jobs and livelihoods. One thing is for sure, that Fortnite influence over gaming has changed it forever. People are always looking for the next Fortnite, trying to master new games that come out and get early skins just in case that game becomes the next Fortnite.